Hey Brandt, how are you?
Doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Thanks for
Surviving.
joining up.
Yeah, no problem. You surviving through all this COVID stuff?
Uh, I am. It hit me a little harder than the next guy, I think, but actually I had it a few months ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Still getting through bronchitis here.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, yeah, you know what it is. It ran through my family, but
Okay.
they're a little healthier than me, who's sitting at 315 pounds.
Okay.
But actually, I've never done this in my life, but I've been drinking like three of these a day
Oh, wow. Okay.
and feeling great. So,
Good.
um, kind of self-medicating here recently, but feel much better. So.
Good.
So hey, I appreciate you joining. I guess it's pretty simple. Over the last few months, I've been, jumping around, going through COVID, and I've been a little bit of a hermit
Hmm.
in my house, and it's driving me crazy. I'm usually in the gym. I guess probably over the last whatever it's been, 25 some years, I've been in the gym at least twice a week at minimum with kids.
Hmm.
And it's kind of driving me crazy. And I had this brain fart idea to reach out to a bunch of people. Um, and try to talk to them about what they're doing in their area and beyond. And then I get requests all the time from running, basketball in Rockford through Rockford Elite Basketball. I get asked all the time about trainers in our area, and we have a lot of great coaches in our program. As I had mentioned, with the Jonathan Snydermans, the Billy Lewises, who are excellent individual trainers, but their focus hasn't been that as of late. It's been more team oriented.
Yep.
And so I've been trying to get on some Zoom calls with some trainers in our area. And then most recently, when I realized that you were doing it, I wanted to make sure I got in touch. So I'm
Oh,
gonna,
yeah. Appreciate it.
yeah, for sure. I'm gonna try to shut up a little bit and hear a little bit about your story. And I guess if you could give everybody maybe a little bit of a background. I grew up knowing, Marty Voiles as a role model and as a mentor. And certainly for those that don't know, Marty's your father. He's coached in the Rockford area, and now he's a principal. He's a principal still in the Chicago area, Huntley?
He's actually down at Seneca High School.
Seneca High School. There you
Yep.
go. And he's been excellent. He's one of the better basketball players actually, to play in this area. But if you could give us a little bit of a brief history in regards to, your high school in regards to Byron, who you played for, where you went on to college. I'd love to learn a little bit more about that and share your story.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm a graduate of Byron High School. While I was there, I was actually fortunate enough to play under Tom Schmidt, who is now assistant at Hononegah High School. During my time there, we actually won back-to-back regional titles, and we were one of the top 5 ranked teams in the state my senior year. After I graduated, I went on and played at Rock Valley for 2 years. And during my time there, I was actually named a starter and a captain my sophomore year on the first ever national championship team. So that was a great experience that kind of helped propel my career from there. And after Rock Valley, I went on and played at Division II Post University on full ride for my last 2 years out on the East Coast. And from there, it was kind of stay in the basketball world. I wanted to make an impact, and I hadn't quite figured that out, whether that was coaching a team or whether that was training individually. And I kind of transitioned my way into the training world after I graduated from Post.
Sure, absolutely. Since there's a lot of people that are familiar with Tom Schmidt and Craig Doty because of the Rock Valley connection. Actually, Tom Schmidt played with my younger brother Jeremy at Rock Valley
Mm-hmm.
for a couple of years. Tom went to Hononegah, and my brother went to Boylan.
Mm-hmm.
But can you give us a little bit in regards to what you learned maybe from Coach Schmidt and Coach Doty over those years?
Yeah, for sure. Coach Schmidt was very detail oriented, and that's something that I took with me, and it's still with me today. We would have a lot of pregame scouts, so we'd walk through what everyone's doing beforehand. We'd walk through plays. We had to know every single play. We had about 50 plays, and you had to know every single position. So it's made me better in that aspect. And then Coach Doty instilled in me the confidence factor I didn't really have in high school. Not only was he running his program like a Division I with, we had weights, we had practices, we had study halls. He was making sure we were eating the right things, making sure we were doing the right things off the court. But he kind of pushed me to that factor of, okay, you need to take your game to the next level if you want to get to a scholarship opportunity. So he kind of gave me that green light, which kind of led me into what I've ended up becoming.
Sure, absolutely. I guess I just want to take you back a little bit to having a quick conversation about your family and your upbringing. Obviously, you come from a basketball family. Your brother Bryant ended up playing at Byron and played at Augustana, and had a great career. Can you give us a little background in regards to where he's at, where your dad's at? Obviously, he said he's at Seneca High School, but could you chat a little bit about having a brother that's also involved in basketball?
Yeah, so like Jason said, like you said, my brother played at Augie, was on an Elite Eight team his senior year. After at Augie, he went on and actually played 2 years in what was then the D League, which is now the G League.
Yep.
After that, he kind of transitioned away from basketball for a little while into accounting, but now he's getting back into the basketball world and wants to become a teacher as well. So for him, he missed it so much. He's trying to get back into it and give as much as he can. My dad grew up playing at Belvedere, played at Rock Valley, played at Peru State. And then after that, he actually was a coach for numerous years at Belvedere and at Byron. And now he is a principal finishing out his years down at Seneca High School.
Sure. So just to put you on the spot here, 1-on-1 game of 21, Marty Voiles, Brandt Voiles, Bryant Voiles, who wins?
Ooh, I am every time.
Every time?
Every time. I know my dad's a great shooter. My brother's got the height on me, but I've got the advantages now. I know a lot more than I did back then.
Gotcha. So I don't know how familiar you are with my younger brothers, but Jeremy Warner ended up playing at Lewis, and Scott.
Mhm.
They actually both played at Rock Valley. Scott played for us when we went to nationals at Rock Valley with Carl Armato. But everybody always asks me that same question, and I'm not suggesting this, but the last time I played 1-on-1 with those guys was probably 15 years ago, and I'm going to date myself when I was 32 years old.
Okay.
I will never play them again in my life, and I will always go down as the victor.
That's the best way.
So I know you have a lot of good years left in you, but when you feel as if you're going downhill a little bit, all right, and I know you're still going uphill, make sure you close that last game out and never play them again.
Oh, for sure. I've already got it in the back of my head.
You know, the Rock Valley thing's pretty important because there's a lot of connections, and I think a lot of people miss what, you know, Rock Valley offers here locally. There's a lot of good players and a lot of good coaches and a lot of good trainers that have a connection to Rock Valley. Can you tell us a little bit more about Rock Valley? I know you were talking a little bit about how Coach Doty actually kind of picked you up, and you ended up winning the first national championship for men's basketball at Rock Valley, correct? As a captain?
Yep, that's correct.
Can you give us a little bit more insight in regards to maybe that story? Is it a two-time national championship for you?
No, so it was just one. So I was the first one. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. And how did you come across and meet Coach Doty?
So that's kind of a very interesting story. I actually came to Rock Valley to play baseball. And when Coach Doty got hired on, he was hired on late, and they only had 9 guys in the team. So my cousin was actually on the team. So him and I were shooting in the gym, and he kind of walked in and saw me shooting around with my cousin. So he actually approached me, and from there we kind of created a bond, and he asked me to play basketball, and it took off from there. And it was probably one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life with sports.
Sure. Awesome. After you ended up playing at Polk College, and you're now back obviously in the Rockford area, can you tell us a little bit about the program that you started with Hometown Training, and what it's about and why you started it?
Yeah, so the whole process was I actually was doing training for a few years with Pure Sweat out in the Quad Cities. While I was there, I had the opportunity to do individual, group, AAU, and team workouts. And during my time there, I kind of felt like my abilities to help kids grow was a lot of fun, and I could see it impacting their games. And while I was there, I actually had the opportunities to work with quite a few pros and high-level college guys. So a guy, Kyle Lamont, was a 14-year pro who played in Argentina, Mexico, and South America. Isaiah Roby and Chason Randall, who are now both under the Thunder organization. Ethan Happ, who plays overseas with Olympiacos. Nolan Ebel was a D3 All-American, played in Spain. And then there's a few guys right now, Leon Robbins, who is the center at Minnesota, and then DJ Carton, who was at Marquette. So kind of working with all of those guys gave me a sense of, okay, I understand what I'm doing. I know how to do it now. I want to bring this type of atmosphere back to Rockford, and I want to help Rockford basketball get back to where it was in the 90s and the 80s and the early 2000s, because as you know, you go into a gym, you see some kids who struggle with just dribbling a basketball or getting on balance and pivoting. So it's things like that. I want to bring my company back to the area to help improve basketball as a whole and just to build relationships with kids. I think that's probably one of the most overlooked things is people don't understand if you can create a relationship, you can help a kid grow in anything they do.
Sure. You know, if you could and just jumping back just a little bit in regards to just the development and growth. A lot of times just being around basketball and coaching a lot of different teams at a lot of different levels, people sometimes come across me and they say, "Hey, Coach Warner, can you do some individual instruction for me?" And while I have done it in the past, it hasn't been necessarily my forte. Sometimes, you know, I'll get in the camp and run 30, 40 kids in the gym, and I feel that's my comfort level. It's not necessarily right. It's not necessarily wrong. It's just kind of where it fits me. And I certainly do individual training. You had mentioned group training, individual training, et cetera. Can you just expand on that? I guess for like the parents that are listening, hey, my son's in third grade. Does he even work? If he's working with pros, does he even work with a third grader who's just new to the basketball game? Does he work with high school kids? Does he work with groups? Does he work with just individuals? Can you just expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so what I do is I work with kids from third grade all the way through professional. So that means third grade through fifth, sixth through eighth, and all of high school as well, even college players. So essentially, if you have a kid who's interested, who's in third grade or above, I'll work with them on a one-on-one individual level. That's usually from like a 45 minutes to an hour lesson that works on ball handling, shooting, defense, passing, anything from the game that will help them improve. Group work, I will do high school groups. I'll do middle school groups where now it's more team concepts with a little bit of skill development in there. So it's more geared towards the people who are trying to learn how to play within a system or play with other people more so. And like I said, those are for middle school groups and for high school groups. We try and stay away from that from the young guys just because we want them to do more skill development and have fun that way with a one-on-one situation.
Sure, absolutely. So obviously, as a graduate of Byron High School, you said you're obviously want to make Rockford basketball better, and hopefully, you know, with your goals, whether you choose to end up being a high school or college or professional coach or somewhere in the mix, or you just continue to teach and become a trainer. Can you also expand a little bit in regards to like the schools you work with? Like obviously you certainly help kids that go to Byron High School because you're a graduate there, but you're certainly open to all kids, not only from Rockford, but from Winnebago, et cetera.
Yep, exactly. So right now I'm working with kids from Byron, Stillman, Oregon, Winnebago. I drive all the way out to DeKalb on Sunday nights. I work with kids from all over Rockford. So it doesn't matter where you're from. We can make it work if you want to come to Byron, or if we can make it work in a gym in Rockford somewhere. I'm always up and I'm free to ideas. So if you're someone who goes to Lutheran or to a Rockford Auburn or Rockford East or a Boylan, or even all the way out in Hananiga, that's something that I am willing to work with. I don't push people away because they go to certain schools. I am open to work with anybody from any school and all levels.
Can you talk to us a little bit about, obviously you get into the Byron Park District. Is that primarily where you train kids?
Yeah, so as of now, I have an agreement through the Byron Park District where if we sign up through the Park District, we have free court rental. We don't have to worry about reserving courts or anything. So because of my partnership, we get free courts, which is very nice. So that's my main place of workouts right now.
Absolutely. So Brandt, I do appreciate you coming on and chatting with me a little bit. It's really important to me I'm sending you a free t-shirt that just says, make somebody else's life better today. It's kind of the quote that I share with my kids as they hop out of the car every day at school and they get sick of me saying it. But hopefully if I beat it into them just enough, they'll actually buy into it. And they certainly do, because they're great kids, but that comes from their mother. But I'll continually drive it. So I'll certainly send that your way. So please send me your address.
Okay.
And then if you need anything from me, well, I'm going to certainly share this with our Rockford Elite following, with our email list. We'll share it on social media, and I'll also share other trainers in the area as well.
Awesome.
There's a lot of great people coaching basketball in our area, and there's a ton of kids. So I don't necessarily look at it as competition amongst trainers, because they're all working, they're all making a living, and there's a lot of kids out there that need great role models like you. So I appreciate everything that you do, and I'll certainly love to promote you to all the kids and all the families. And that goes along with all the other kids and the other programs. You know, I run Rockford Elite basketball, but there's a lot of other good programs in Rockford. And certainly I'd love to help drive them to you.
No, yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. And like I said, whoever wants to get a workout in, doesn't matter where you're from, I'm willing to travel and make things work, because it's all about the kids and all about the future of Rockford basketball, trying to make that impact and get that level back up to where it was.
Well, I appreciate it, buddy. Hit me up if you need anything, and make sure you shoot me your address.
Okay, will do. Thanks, Jason.
Yep. Thanks, Brandt. Hey, appreciate that. Thanks much.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's huge for me. I can't thank you guys enough for what you're doing.
Yeah. Probably I'll share it in social media in the next few days. And then probably I want to get in before I send it off on the email. I want to make sure that there's only a handful of them. I mean, Danny McClarty, Gene Houston, JD Danforth, Jerry Goldsmith. I think that might be it in regards to connecting base, in regards to trainers in Rockford. I know there's a few others out there, but I think that are the important ones. And there's certainly enough to hopefully flood you and get you a few loyal customers over the years.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That'd be awesome.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Bye-bye.